It was the 7th of December, 1944. A clear sky over the Philippine Sea. Major Bill Dunham, a triple ace in his Republic P-47D Thunderbolt, tail number F227884, was leading a fighter patrol consisting of 10 aircraft from the 460 Fighter Squadron. They were rapidly approaching a squadron of Nakajima Ki-43s. The Japanese pilots had no idea that Dunham's squadron were nearing, as the P-47s were at a much higher altitude. The P-47 swooped in on a top-down approach and began to open fire on the Japanese planes. Major Dunham soon lines up on a Ki-43 and opens up with his powerful 50 caliber machine guns, shooting one down successfully. The wrecked Japanese plane crashes into the sea, but the pilot had managed to bail out just before the crash. The Japanese were famously known for shooting down American airmen who were parachuting down from their stricken planes. Allied pilots did not have the heart to kill defenseless men who were going to be captured and put into POW camps anyway as a prisoner of war. However, an emotionally devastating incident would take place on the 6th of March 1944, several months before today, which would make Dunham turn around and finish the Japanese pilot mid-air. On the day of the incident, Major Dunham, then Captain Dunham, would patrol the northern coast of New Guinea with Captain Sam Blair and close friend Colonel Neil Kirby. The patrol would soon spot 3 Kawasaki Ki-48 bombers, who were from the 75th Sentai, flying very low to the water. Both Dunham and Blair would successfully attack and down their targets. Colonel Kirby badly damages the 3rd Japanese plane, but when he turned around to finish the Ki-43, the Japanese pilot skillfully manages to set his P-47 on fire, and Kirby bails out. Dunham gets behind the Japanese plane and destroys it successfully, but not before the Japanese pilot had shot Dunham's close friend, Colonel Kirby, mid-air, whilst he was parachuting. He was defenseless, but this was usual for the Japanese. Dunham and Blair circled and searched for Kirby, but he was nowhere to be found. They were forced to return to base as they were out of fuel, but Major Dunham wouldn't allow his friend to be lost at sea. He wanted to go back, but he was told that it wouldn't be safe to do so. Dunham wouldn't give in, and so he was physically restrained, and told that if he was to do so, he would suffer serious consequences. Dunham remembers the day his close friend, Colonel Neil, died, and turned his P-47D around for a second attack run, this time on the pilot of the downed Ki-43, who was now parachuting down. He approaches the pilot, head on, with his hand on the trigger. The Japanese pilot stares at Dunham for a few moments, as did Dunham, but the Japanese pilot knew exactly what was coming next. He turns around and prepares for the inevitable. Several tense moments go by, but nothing happens. He was shocked. His life had just been spared. He looks back at the P-47 that had just passed beside him in awe. However, that wasn't the end of Major Bill Dunham's act of chivalry. In the midst of battle with the other Ki-43s attacking his squadron of 10 P-47s, he brings round his plane for a 3rd pass. By now the Japanese pilot had landed in the middle of the sea. Even though he had survived the attack, there was very little hope for the Japanese airman surviving the harsh conditions. Worse, he didn't have a life jacket and struggled to stay afloat in the rough waves. Major Dunham flies his P-47 at sea level, as close to the water as possible. They exchange a warm salute, and Dunham tosses his life jacket alongside some rations at the Japanese pilot. He saves his life, and hopes that the Japanese learn from his actions, even though they had killed his defenseless close friend, Colonel Kirby, mid-air. Sadly, even during his rare act of compassion during war, the enemy Japanese Ki-43s had turned around and began to shoot at Dunham's P-47. He had lost all his speed during the quick turns to save the Japanese pilot, but the P-47 was known for being an incredibly resilient aircraft. Dunham engages war emergency power. With the Pratt & Whitney R2800 engine roaring at its power limit, the P-47D accelerates away from the attacking Ki-43s. 27884 suffers severe wing damage and loses half its tail, crippling the plane, but Major Dunham manages to get away from the attacking Ki-43s for a landing back at base. Following the war, Dunham had told his wife Bonnie that it was as if the Lord had put his hand on his shoulder and said, "Bill, don't do it." During his service, Major Bill Dunham downed 16 planes in his P-47 Thunderbolt and P-51 Mustang, becoming a triple ace, a record most pilots of the war or even today could only dream of. Dunham was awarded the Distinguished Service Cross for extreme gallantry and risk of life in combat for his actions, and he passes away in 1990 at the age of 70. His actions during World War II would assist in the 1949 Geneva Convention, where shooting down a parachutist or a paratrooper, even if they are an enemy, is now considered a war crime. Only 5.1% of you guys watching this video are subscribed. Subscribing to the channel is free, and it massively helps get towards the 100,000 subscriber goal for this year. So please consider subscribing, we are halfway there. If you enjoyed the video, hit the like button, or if you didn't, hit the dislike button, and leave a comment below on your thoughts. A huge thanks to our Patreons for funding the channel, allowing me to make these videos through these rather rough times. If you would like another amazing story, check out my video on the crewless B-17 Ghost Fortress that landed itself. Thanks for watching, stay safe.